It's November 24th, 1971. A man dressed in a dark suit and sunglasses casually boards a plane in Portland, Oregon. He's nothing out of the ordinary, a typical passenger on a routine flight to Seattle. But as the plane takes off, something extraordinary happens. This man, later known as D.B. Cooper, hands a flight attendant a note claiming he has a bomb. What follows is one of the most daring and mysterious crimes in aviation history, a crime that remains unsolved to this very day. It all started on that fateful day when a man using the name Dan Cooper boarded Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305. Described by fellow passengers as an unremarkable figure, he was a Caucasian male, dressed in a dark suit, black tie, and carrying a briefcase. He sat in the last row, ordered a bourbon and soda, and donned a pair of sunglasses as the plane took off at 2:50 p.m. The flight was a short one, from Portland to Seattle, carrying 36 passengers and 6 crew members. Everything seemed normal until the man in the last row made his move. He handed a note to the flight attendant, Florence Schaffner. At first, she didn't read it, assuming it was just another attempt at flirtation. But when the man leaned in and quietly told her, "You might want to read that. I have a bomb," she knew this was serious. Cooper's note demanded $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes, along with specific instructions for when the plane landed in Seattle. Florence, terrified but composed, relayed the message to the cockpit. The pilots and air traffic control were alerted, and they followed Cooper's instructions, keeping the plane in the air for 2 hours, while the FBI gathered the ransom money and the parachutes. When the plane finally landed in Seattle at 5:46 p.m., the authorities handed over the money and parachutes. Cooper allowed the passengers to leave, along with 2 flight attendants, but kept the remaining crew as hostages. He then instructed the pilots to take off again, this time heading towards Mexico City. But Cooper wasn't done with his demands. He insisted that the plane fly at a low altitude, below 10,000 feet, with the wing flaps down and the landing gear deployed, an unusual configuration that made the plane fly much slower than usual. Despite the pilot's concerns, Cooper was adamant. At 7:40 p.m., the plane took off again, and just 20 minutes into the flight, Cooper did the unthinkable. He opened the rear air stair of the plane, put on one of the parachutes, and with the $200,000 in tow, jumped out into the night. The flight crew locked in the cockpit had no idea if he was still on board or had made his escape. When the plane landed safely in Reno, Nevada, the FBI searched it thoroughly. Cooper was gone, leaving behind only a black clip-on tie, a tie clip, some cigarette butts, and 2 unused parachutes. The story of D.B. Cooper quickly became a sensation. The FBI launched one of the most extensive manhunts in history, scouring the forests of the Pacific Northwest for any trace of the skyjacker. They combed through the flight path, used advanced technology, and even enlisted the help of the military. But their efforts turned up nothing. Despite collecting 66 fingerprints from the plane, the FBI couldn't match them to anyone. The tie and tie clip provided no useful leads, and with no DNA technology at the time, the cigarette butts couldn't be analyzed. The search area was vast, and with so many variables, wind speed, the exact moment of the jump, and the plane's precise location, it was almost impossible to determine where Cooper might have landed. As time passed, D.B. Cooper became more than just a criminal. He became a legend. The media dubbed him a modern-day Robin Hood, and his daring escape captivated the public's imagination. Sketches of the man circulated, and the FBI received thousands of tips and confessions, but none led to Cooper's capture. The FBI did initially pursue a lead based on the alias Dan Cooper. They tracked down a petty criminal named D.B. Cooper in Oregon, but it quickly became clear that he wasn't their man. The real hijacker remained at large, slipping through the cracks of the investigation. Despite the massive search efforts, D.B. Cooper was never found. The FBI officially closed the case in 2016 after decades of fruitless investigation. The mystery of D.B. Cooper remains one of the greatest unsolved crimes in history. Was he an expert skydiver, or did he perish in the wilderness, never to be found? The truth may never be known, but the legend of D.B. Cooper continues to intrigue and inspire countless theories and investigations. To this day, the story of D.B. Cooper is a reminder of just how elusive the truth can be. The man who boarded Flight 305 on that cold November day in 1971 remains a shadow, a ghost of a story that refuses to fade away. And perhaps that's the way it was meant to be. A mystery for the ages, forever unsolved.